If you find yourself having doubts about Islam because of some complex theological issue that came up, that means your foundation is not solid enough. Assalamu alaikum. Just wanted to do a quick scattered thought about an issue that seems to be kind of increasing with regards to some of your messages and questions. Some of your questions are very easy to pose, but they're complex and they can't be addressed completely and answered directly in one short YouTube video or in one email. They're very good questions, but they require a little bit of work, and they require a lot more intellectual effort on your part to engage with them directly and head on than to expect an answer just to be served to you on a silver platter. I'll give you one advice that was given to me when I first started, studying and doing all this. No matter what question you think you can come up with, any question you come up with, it's been asked before, somebody's brought it up before, you're not original in that sense. Metaphysical questions, theological questions, they're not like technology where you can come up with a new question every day and a new thing, and it's like innovation that hasn't come before. Metaphysics, these are perennial questions, have been asked before by multitudes of people, and the human intellect is kind of set up in a way that it just asks these questions. So your question is not original. Your question has been asked before, and it's been answered by a number of people in different ways, and some of the ways may resonate with you and some of the ways may not resonate with you. Your challenge is to be patient enough. File that question in the back of your mind and be patient enough until you get to the answer. I can tell you from first-hand experience, every time I get a new question that pops into my mind, it doesn't shake me up and make me have doubts and all this stuff, because my foundation is solid. If you find yourself having doubts about Islam because of some complex theological issue that came up, that means your foundation is not solid enough. You have not grasped the simplicity of the proposition La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah and its resonance with your fitrah, with your natural pure reason that you have. If you're getting shaken up by complex theological matters, that means your root, your basis of this tradition, of this religion, of theology has not really been solidified. And so you should really address that. Islam is a simple religion. It is not a simpleton religion. It's simple in the sense that the proposition, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, there is only one God worthy of worship, one true God, unlike His creation. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger who brought the revelation, the Quran to us. This is a simple proposition. You don't need a degree to understand that. A Bedouin in the desert that's herding sheep and camel understands that just as much as somebody who's teaching philosophy at Cambridge or Harvard or Oxford or wherever. You don't need a degree to understand this proposition. So if you're getting shaken up by complex issues, that means this basic proposition, you haven't really grasped it. And you need to sit back for a second and just really, I promote this all the time because it's really important. I did a recording on theology, a basic foundational text on Islamic theology. I'll link it up here for you so that you can listen to it. It's simple, it's easy, but it gives you the tools to understand this basic proposition. But if you get questions, I get questions sometimes. What do I do with the questions that I get? I don't get shaken up by them. Sometimes it's conundrums, paradoxes, things that I'm having trouble kind of squaring up. What do? I file it in the back of my mind, and I'm constantly in an act of exposing myself to sacred knowledge through sitting down with teachers, studying these theological texts or studying any of these texts, reciting the Quran, studying the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and also reading. So I'm not sitting at home doing nothing, just waiting for the answer to come to me. I'm actively seeking the answer. And sure enough, sometimes it could take a month, 6 months. Sometimes I find it the same day. But it's because I'm always seeking out, and I don't do it through just watching YouTube videos and tweeting at somebody and waiting for them to answer me in a tweet. It's really easy for me to pose questions, but the answers could be very complex and require some teasing and working out. And so Patient. The challenge is to be patient. That you get a question, that's an interesting question. File it away and just expose yourself to opportunities so that you may get the answer. It's kind of the same. Knowledge is like rizq. It's like sustenance. You want to make some money, you want to earn a living, what do you got to do? You have to expose yourself. You have to go and first of all get your qualifications for whatever it is that you want to do for a living, and then go and do it. So for me, like I teach, right? I'm at the university, I'm teaching students. I expose myself to opportunities by applying to different places and sending out my CV and doing all of this so that I get the offer afterwards. I get the interview and then I get the offer. But I hustled for it. The same thing with knowledge. You need to hustle for it. And sitting back and sending messages to on Facebook to anybody, and while I do appreciate your questions and I welcome them, I don't want this to be your primary mode of gaining knowledge about Islam and about tradition. Your primary modes should be finding teachers that you can either sit with personally or get in connection with online, because right now there is this other mode of doing it. There's a lot of teachers teaching online, like Seekers Hub, for example. They have free courses you can take. It requires effort, intellectual effort. You have to actually put in the work for you to get the answers. This culture, unfortunately, promotes passive recipients, for us to become passive recipients. And we also get self-entitled that, hey, I sent you a question, you should answer it. And in fact, you should have a very quick ready-made answer. And if you can't answer it, there is a problem with the knowledge, with the tradition. It's not a problem with me, it's a problem with the tradition. It's egotistical in itself as well, if you think about it. It's just a... Anyways, I just wanted to give you some thoughts about that because it's a trend that I find a little bit problematic. Like I said, I welcome your questions, please send them away. My attempt through here is to, sometimes I can give you some answers, but a lot of times I like to give you ideas about it. Maybe point you in a particular direction. Get you centered in a certain way about it so that you can, or give you a new perspective, but not for the sake of ready-made answers for you to just passively receive and for you not to have much intellectual effort put into it. Because you know what, if you're not putting in the effort, all it needs is for another issue to come up, and again you'll find yourself shaken up and you won't be able to address it because you haven't exercised your intellect in a way that allows you to address it. Just some scattered thoughts. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.